Have you been to the doctor recently and you still feel like you just can't find the answers? It may come as a surprise, but your health and wellness is actually up to you. My guest today is Julia Bowlin, MD, and she's here to give us some insight on our own personal responsibility and our health and well-being. Julia, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Kristen.
So you're the creator of Personal Awareness Medicine. What is that?
You know, Kristen, after seeing over 100,000 patient visits in 22 years, one thing I have realized is that most of my patients don't need a prescription for a pill. They need a prescription for personal awareness medicine.
What do you mean by personal awareness?
You know, personal awareness is becoming aware of the things and conscious of the things that you might be doing to cause illness or that you might not be doing to cause illness. The things that you should be doing that may be making you better and feel better, and the things that you shouldn't be doing to make you feel better.
You know, I think this is really frustrating for a lot of people who are watching. You feel anxiety, you have insomnia, you just have this general sense of ache or a pain, but you go to the doctor and you wait there for quite some time. You have a 15-minute appointment, and you still have more questions than answers.
Right.
What's going on with our medical system today?
Well, I am a full-time practicing physician and I see patients all day long, and one of the things that I struggle the most with, there's so many things I want my patients to be doing, things I want them to learn, and I don't have the time to go over them. I feel like I'm frustrated because I have to fulfill computer needs, and the government has instilled certain regulations that we have to fulfill, and unfortunately I think the patient and the physician are now paying the price for that, and the patient-physician relationship is just lacking that connectivity and that personal awareness and being able to dive deeper into what's important to you as an individual.
Do you think this is something that is going to improve in the future?
Unfortunately, I don't. That's one of the reasons I created the system that we're going to talk about here shortly, is because I feel like there's not enough time in the patient-physician relationship in an office to cover these things. So I created a product, so to speak, or a program where you can actually go in and really get physician-approved information, guidance, and tools to kind of help guide you in this journey.
You know, when you think about the modern lifestyle that we all live, there's all kinds of things going on. There's a lot of stress, we have emotional traumas that come up, and all these things can create actual physical symptoms. So how do we know if we're really sick or if it's something that we just need to approach from a different way?
That's a really good question, Kristen, because sometimes it's really not that clear whether you're ill physically or emotionally, and sometimes I notice most of my patients who come to see me, there's really a lot more things going on inside them than just a physical virus or a mild high blood pressure. So really sitting back and analyzing the kinds of things that you might be doing in your lifestyle or the way that you have been approaching your everyday on what you eat and what you put on, in, and around your body, it's really pivotal to really undermine or figure out what's going on truthfully inside.
You know, when you think about this, that there are illnesses that come on suddenly, like you'll wake up one morning and you've caught the flu or you've eaten something overnight and it's like, wow, what's happened? I feel terrible today. But there's other things that happen to us inside our physical bodies that accumulate over time. How do we help maybe be more proactive or more preventative in that?
I believe the very first step that you need to do is you need to have an assessment. You need to sit back and evaluate what you are really doing and not doing. So creating and going through a step-by-step process where you can evaluate these certain things is the very, very first step.
And when we're looking at ourselves, do you think it's challenging to really be honest? I mean, a lot of times, you know, when someone comes to the doctor, I know with my physician and he asks me certain questions and I'm like, well, you know, I'm maybe going to check that box. I mean, what's your experience with so many patients that you work with?
My experience with so many patients is that when I can hit a certain trigger point and really say to you, you know, for example, if you're my patient, I would say, Kristen, are you really being honest with yourself? Are you being honest with me? Are you really exercising? Or are you trying to exercise? Are you really eating better? Are you trying to eat better? And most of the time when people say they're trying, they're thinking about the things they should do, but they're not actually performing the things that they need to do.
You know, one of the things I like about personal awareness medicine is it's a lot more comprehensive than just, you know, eating better and exercising more. there's a lot more to it. Can you share some of that with us?
Wow, when it comes to being personally aware and responsible, there's so many different aspects and facets of your health. How you think in your own head, how you feel in your emotional intelligence, how you physically manage how you wake up in the morning to the point you go to bed. You know, in today's day and age, when I ask you, Kristen, how are you doing? How many times do you hear in a day, I'm just busy, 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 going, going, going. And some of us think that that's good. It's not. So just becoming aware and realizing the kinds of things that you're doing that you think might be healthy that are actually harming you is very, very important.
You raised a point about what you think. What is the role of your thinking on your health?
Wow. How you think is everything to do with how you process interactions with people, how you respond to stimuli coming in, how you respond to your boss when you walk into work, how you feel emotionally about something somebody might have said to you during the day. So your health, your mental awareness and your emotional awareness is much deeper than just looking at somebody and saying, I feel this way, or I'm in a bad mood.
You know, it's interesting. Have you noticed in your private practice that when people come in and they have negative thoughts, that there is a link between having more aches and pains? Have you been able to make that connection?
Absolutely, absolutely. The negative emotional anchors that I talk about incessantly in my everyday practice is hate, shame, blame, fear, and regret. These negative emotions pull us down. They tighten our muscles. They tense our neck. They create anxiety. We breathe shallow instead of breathing deeply. You know, emotions really play a huge role on how our body responds, and it can lead to illness if you don't understand how you feel and how you're managing your mental thoughts.
So how do we manage these thoughts? I mean, the reality is that things happen to us. You know, things happen in our lives that make us angry, that cause us to feel shame, that give us a setback. How do we take those emotions and put them in a context where they don't interfere or impact directly our health?
Well, the first step, Kristen, is to become conscious of the fact that you're doing it. Most of us are on autopilot on a daily basis, and we don't stop and think about why we're thinking the way we are or who made us think the way. Maybe I'm emotionally reacting to something that happened to me 10 years ago, but I'm doing it now because I haven't stopped and reflected on the impact of some past experiences that we have. So stopping and redirecting and focusing and thinking about how you're thinking is pivotal in moving forward.
Now, I know in your own life, you have had some of your own setbacks. Do you mind sharing those with us today?
Sure, absolutely. You know, there was a time in my life that I was a very, very confused person. I struggled very deeply with depression. I had a very severe eating disorder that required hospitalization, and I was a pretty heavy self-abuser. So I'm going to tell you, I think I understand a little bit about chaos of the mind and emotional turmoil and the impact it can have on success. And when you can begin to understand how your past and emotions responding to today's environment, it can just take you flying. You can heal and you can recover and you can let loose and you can have peace of mind and more energy. Tell you, paying attention to how you feel and how you think is so important when it comes to your overall health.
You talk about this in your book, To Me I Thee Wed, and it's a really unique title because it could sound like it's a wedding book.
It's not a wedding book, I assure you. But what it is I really feel it's important that we become our own best friends. That in order to love, honor, and cherish ourselves, we need to be the best me before we can be the best too. So in other words, if you're better as an individual before you get in a relationship, do you think you might be better in that relationship? Absolutely. So learning how to love yourself, understand yourself, and being patient with yourself, and even understanding kind of the frail parts of who you are, it's going to make you a better individual and a better person in a relationship.
Yeah, in your book, you write about an experience that really was the turning point for you. And I love this experience because it's so inspiring. Can you share with us that moment when you were on the campus and you just...
Oh, you're talking about Mirror Lake, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Mirror Lake was a point in my life when I was really hitting the deep end of it all. I was in a heavy, heavy state of depression, and I was on my way to commit suicide. And when I looked in the reflection on Mirror Lake, and I didn't like what I saw. I was ugly. I didn't seem smart. I was stupid, and I just didn't feel like I could go on. I had a very, very personal experience where I was given an opportunity from a spiritual level to reflect on my life. And whether it was God, a universal consciousness, I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but for me, it was a deep-seated experience where I was given the privilege to review what my life had been. So I was able to go back in time and see all the lessons that I had learned up to that point and make a decision. I was given the opportunity to make a decision whether I'm going to move forward or whether I was going to end my life at that time. And because of that gift I was given to reflect, I was able to say, hey, maybe I can use this pain of the past and use it to me as a passion to move forward. And if I can just help one person understand that they're not alone, that they can recover, and that there are a process to help you recover, that you don't have to necessarily go to a doctor. Now, you should be with the doctor, but my process is going to help give you that step-by-step process so you can look back and reflect and grow in your own privacy of your own home.
You know, these experiences that you talk about in your book, this is when you were in school, and it obviously inspired you to go on and become a physician yourself. But you're interesting as a physician because you also blend spirituality. I mean, inside your book and personal awareness medicine, you have some insight into spirituality. What does spirituality mean to you?
Spirituality for me is that inner knowing and inner, I hate the word, I keep using consciousness, but for lack of a better word, it's just becoming aware of the fact that we have more to our being than responding and thinking. That there's an inner knowing and intuition that so many of us don't take the time to tap into. And it is a source of energy and creativity, and it's a huge part of your overall health and wellness that so many people neglect. And so for me, if I could teach people how to move into that state of relaxation, that deep breath, and connecting with their innermost soul, then they're going to be able to be more bright and aware of what they need to be doing for themselves in moving forward.
You know, you read about these stories all the time, people who have illnesses that cannot be diagnosed, and then all of a sudden they get an intuitive flash and they go back to their doctor and like, you know what, I think this is what it is. And then they finally run the test and you're like, how did you figure that out? I mean, what is the role of our intuitive insight and those hunches on our overall health?
Wow, I'm going to tell you a story because I think this is a good one. I was in undergraduate college and my degree is in socioanthropology. I did not want to go into medicine. My dad was a doctor, my mother was a nurse, and I didn't want to go there. And suddenly I'm walking across the campus in my senior year getting my Bachelor of Arts, not Science degree, when I had a hunch or I had an intuitive insight that said, you need to go to medical school. And I looked up and I looked around, I said, no. And the
someone's talking to
someone's talking to me. And you know what, that was, after that Mirror Lake experience, I was a believer. Now, I didn't practice religion every day, and I didn't even go to a church, but I was a believer in the spiritual hunches and intuition. And so when that happened to me a second time, I paid attention, and it was the best decision I ever made.
So what would you say to someone who's watching and they have anxiety, they're feeling pain, they're not quite sure what's going on with their health? What's the first step?
The first step that somebody has to take is to make a decision to do something about it. You need to make a decision whether you're going to get the resources to move forward, to evaluate how passionate are you about it. Are you ready to do something about it? Are you done with feeling crappy all the time? So if you're done with feeling crappy all the time, now's the time to make the decision. So step one, make the decision. Step two, get passionate about it. And step three, give yourself permission to move on. It's okay to make yourself a priority. So when you do that, then you can be focused on the decision you made, and you can create and go to a course such as mine where you can now dive into personal growth.
Joy, it starts with choosing to be healthy, choosing to be responsible for your own health?
It does, because ultimately the buck stops here. You're ultimately responsible for your body from head to toe. And when you make the commitment to move on, that's the first step.
So inside your program, Personal Awareness Medicine, you know, I know we were talking before we got on the set here about, as a doctor, you did the Hippocratic Oath. What kind of oath do we as individuals need to take about our own health?
Well, first of all, I already just alluded to it a second ago, is number one, you got to make yourself a priority. It's okay to make yourself a priority. How many times we feel like we're being selfish when we put ourselves first, but the long and the short of it is, in an airplane, if the airbags go down, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first because you have to survive to save your children. It's the same thing with your own health. You have to put yourself first before others in order to be healthy.
I know that you work with obviously both men and women, but as a mother, I'm also a mother myself. We both know that our children, they come first, they have all kinds of needs, and then before you know it, like 5 years, 10 years have gone by, and you're like, who am I? I'm Jack's mom, I'm Samantha's mom, I'm hey you. We kind of lose that identity. How do we reclaim it again?
How do you reclaim your identity? Wow. I would have to say, again, make yourself a priority. Take some time, find a class somewhere, glass blowing, if that's what interests you. But take a class somewhere outside of your family. Sign up for something you've not done before. Because when you step out and do something, just one thing for 1 hour for yourself once a week, it's amazing all of a sudden you start to realize I have a brain, I have a mind. Because you've been on autopilot so many times from the second you wake up in the morning, whether you're running a business or you're an employee or you're being a mother or you're cooking dinner or you're a wife. Now guess what, Kristen? Every once in a while, I want to know who Julia is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to put ourselves first and take the time to make healthy foods, take the time to go exercise, take the time to meditate, to even allow ourselves to think. I mean, who can relate to that? I need to allow myself to think about myself today. And that can cause a little bit of conflict and clashing because we have to rework our mindset around that.
Absolutely. And the only thing that's going to make the difference is you have to plan it. If you don't plan it, it's not going to happen because your kids are going to get in the way, your husband's going to get in the way, your job is going to get in the way. And if we don't plan how we're going to shop to make our meals healthy, if we don't plan when we're going to squeeze exercise in there, if we don't plan when we're going to take our glass blowing class, it's not going to happen, I promise you.
Julia, you have created a course just to help people with their overall wellness. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the course is personal awareness medicine, of course, and it's about giving you the prescription to be a healthier, wealthier, and wiser you. In other words, it's a course that I created to help fill the gap between the relationship that you have with your own physician. So it's all the things that I want to tell you if you were my patient that I don't have time. So it's basically breaking down mental empowerment, the things of how I can help you think better, feel clearly, and be emotionally intelligent about how you're reacting. So these modules have to do with spiritual empowerment, mental empowerment, physical empowerment, and I'm going to give you tools and tricks through the Personal Awareness Medicine Toolbox that you'll be able to download and take for your own self and work through with the guidance of my video modules as I'm walking you through step by step through this program just for you.
Julia, it sounds like you have a lot of insights and tools that really anyone can use to be more empowered in their health. Where can they learn more about all the things you offer?
Well, I do have a website. It's juliabowlin.com, and on that website you'll have access and ways to order my book. You'll have ways to learn more about the course and to enter the Personal Awareness Medicine section of my website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today and taking time out of your busy practice.
Oh, thank you, Kristen. It was a lot of fun today.
Thank you.